I just read a sentence where it said stories are the quickest way to the heart, and I'd like to speak on that a little bit today. First, I'd like to welcome you to our channel, TLI Pedagogics Upgrade Education. And now, in this second sequence of our channel, we'd like to bring you news regarding what we read and study and what we see. And regarding that, we'd like to bring you news on education and especially also different perspectives on a topic. So let's speak about it. It's a very spontaneous video. I'm actually going into a class in 10 minutes, so it will be quite short. But I thought I'd like to speak on different topics in this sentence. So I read this article. It said stories are the best way to a children's heart. Number one, the best way. I really find that very often nowadays that people use it as an advertisement because it's a very good way to advertise. When you say you have the best, the greatest, the most effective. And so this also caused, especially with the digitalization of the world, where news spread very fast in the social media area. Stories are very important for children. They are not the best. It is one way to reach a child. Then I also would like to speak about stories a little bit, what they are doing. When you have stories, it's like you're telling a picture book to children. In their brain, they start to think and pictures are coming up. And these pictures are connected with emotions. Now it's very much depending if you also change your voice. If you speak happily and if you speak sadly and heavily. And if you change your voice according to what's happening in the topic, in the story itself, then the picture is also colored with this tonation. And this tonation creates an emotion in the child. And this emotion actually is what either reaches the heart or not the heart. Sometimes stories can be very touching, especially when the stories are told from a viewpoint of a very emotional level, or if they have a very painful situation in it, or if they have a very happy situation in it, then it reaches directly to the emotional level of the child, and it's happening there and processing there. When you tell a story which is very emotional, it's also important that you introspect with the child and reflect on the story after you told it. You can't just tell the story and then let it go. So let's speak about it. For example, if you have a toddler or a very young child, kindergarten age, early years up to 8, 9, it really works well that when you see the child behaving in a certain way and you want to help the child to understand how or what that can cause to other people, that it can hurt other people and all of that. It is a very nice instrument, or we call it in the pedagogic area a methodology, that you use a story. So you create a story around the situation. You use different figures. You don't use the child, but speak about different figures and see that your child connects to the figures, especially to the one who gets hurt. And then when you tell the story, and you have the situation where the one gets hurt, you can see that your child doesn't like it too much emotionally. It feels not good. It also feels hurt about it. And it starts an understanding process on a very different level. And this is when it touches the heart. This is when it really goes very deep. And when you do that, which is an instrument to help your child understand a certain behavior or a certain thing that they might not understand or get to understand on a certain level, or you spoke about it, you said, please don't do that, and you explained it, but it doesn't touch the child, and then you use a story for that, it will really go way deeper inside. So what then is important is that you don't leave the child alone with the story. Because the child built a connection to that one being which is hurt, and it's now pondering on it. It's thinking about it. What's happening? How does this feel? And it might feel a little sad. So it's also important that you help your child overcome the sadness, especially to understand that at the end of the day, we can create the win-win-win situation where everyone gains from it. So when you do this kind of storytelling, it's very important that you tell the story. Afterward, you speak with your child about the content of the story. You see that your child is happy again. Maybe later in the day or in the evening before going to bed, you ask your child if it remembers the story, if he or she still feel some connection to the story, if there's something that's going on, and if there's still some sadness or the child comes back and feels sad about it, explain again why and what we can do to avoid this kind of feeling of pain, and how this other child or the figure in the book can respond to create a better outcome for the child and for him herself. And so this is how you can guide children along, and this is when a story touches the heart of a child. So stories are always working on the level of creativity. It's also depending on how well the child can imagine the pictures in the story. And there you could help by having a picture book if you are reading a story from a picture book, or you can have some pictures with you which symbolize certain figures. The other thing, when you want to really have your child create their own imagination, then you wouldn't give any pictures, because you want them to create the figures in their brain, in their head, as they want to imagine it. So you see that stories are very interesting. Stories can be used on many different levels and can help you in many different ways. And stories can touch the heart. But it's not exactly true that stories are the best way to touch a child's heart. Let me speak about another thing, then I really have to go into the class and welcome our students on TLI Pedagogics today. When you deeply bond to a child and you connect to the child and you are sad about something, your sadness goes straight in the heart of the child, because the child is so deeply connected and they want you to be happy. So you can see there are many different ways to connect to a child's heart and to go deep into the heart of the child and touch the child emotionally, what it actually means, not just storybooks. And there are hundreds of other examples I can give you. So I hope you got some inputs out of it. What I think is the best input here, what I like stories for, is to tell stories, to use them also to introduce a concept to children. And that is something we can do over and over again. And gladly nowadays, there's so many picture books out there. We don't have necessarily to create all of the stories in our brain and create them by pure creativity. And there's a lot there to many different topics. So maybe you go to Amazon, to any of the book providers in your area, and you just go through what actually is there and what is provided. We also did a video on books and how to use books with children. And maybe you want to go there and listen more on that topic, so you get more introduced into picture books and storytelling through books. And I wish you a very good day, and I hope to see you again here in this channel the next time. If you liked that video and if you think someone can benefit from the content, please do not forget to share this video to other people. Our community lives from you being engaged and you really also gaining information and knowledge from it. Our pure purpose is to give you knowledge on education, on early childhood years, especially here in this channel. Wish you a good day. See you soon.